I'm really delighted to welcome to this conversation Geerte Udo. Geerte is the Chief Executive of Amsterdam and Partners, the international promotion agency of Amsterdam. Geerte, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Greg. It's a great honor to be here.
Geerte, we're trying to ask the question, how are world cities changing post-pandemic? And I guess a good way into that might be to ask you, after the pandemic, what's different in Amsterdam and what's still the same in Amsterdam? And what are some of the new imperatives that you're facing or trying to respond to?
Well, that's a big question, Greg. I think there are some things in our city that changes faster because of the pandemics. I think worldwide, we see in a lot of cities, if it comes to the energy issues that we have, that things are really speeding up. And I think we're in an awkward time frame where we have some really negative issues going on in the world that also are beneficial for speeding up the sustainable movement that we're in. I think pre-pandemic, for the Amsterdam bigger area, we had issues because we were growing really fast. We were attractive for residents, for visitors, for companies, for conventions, for talents, etc. And that's, of course, a lucky position for a city if you are in this situation that everybody loves you and wants to be with you. But it also challenges us as a city to see how we can keep cities livable and prosperous at the same time. And I think through the pandemic, we realized how global we are nowadays, but also saw the negative effect of this global economy. We all challenged with our good stuff for hostels, security, etc., etc. And we found out, I think, that we're moving to a new system of hyper-global and hyper-local. So I think this is a shift that all the cities are doing. We also saw that areas where you have a good mix of functions were much more healthy than areas that have one function. And if I talk about function, I mean the function to live, to work, and to recreate in a certain area. It doesn't matter if you talk of a metropole or a city or a neighborhood. But I think you saw during the pandemic that the neighborhood have all these three functions in the right balance were the most healthy ones. And you saw business districts totally empty, or tourism areas totally empty. And it really helped us in moving forward, looking at the new position of a world city, as Amsterdam wants to be, that we should move from this monocentric to polycentric, but make sure that the mixture of function we have on all these different areas. I think we also saw the power of diversity. If you look in nature, of course, it's logical. The more diverse nature is, the more healthy the ecosystem, the better the product, and the more healthy the future is of that area. And I think it's the same for cities. The more diversity you have, if it comes to people, to business, etc., the more healthy you are for the ecosystem and less vulnerable you are for crises that we are facing. And of course, there is no pre and after Corona. Of course, we have a pre-Corona, but not an after, because we see all these other challenges that we are facing as cities moving fast forward to all our cities. So you see that because we were fast growing, then we had silence, now it's growing back. We have to take care much more that cities stay connected, not only physically connected or digital connected, but also socially connected. Because at the end, the healthy cities are the cities where this connectivity, not only between residents, visitors, and businesses, but also between neighborhoods, is stronger, will be healthier, and less vulnerable for the future.
Geerte, I mean, what you're saying is fascinating. You're sort of describing a whole series of revelations that the pandemic brought about. The revelation that diversity is a strength, the revelation that a mixture of activities is better than a single function, the revelation that all cities need to become multi-centered or polycentric. But you've also described an acceleration in digital activity, an acceleration in online, but also an acceleration, I think, towards sustainability. So it sounds like so much has changed, but has anything stayed the same? Is there anything that you think is not changed as a result of the pandemic?
Well, I think that the power of cities is still strong. During the pandemic, people thought like, oh, is this the end of cities and now we're all moving back to rural areas? I don't think at all. I think cities are still a meeting place and a melting pot where you find creativity and innovation. And I think especially during the pandemic, we realized that we can do much more than before digitally, being linked or having these kind of conversations or meetings. But I think we also realized that we need to have this physical contact as well. The unexpected meeting, the unexpected coincidence that happens, that is where we make the changes together. So I think cities still have this function in the future as well, to be the place to meet each other, but also to be and to create and to be innovative. So I think that has not changed a lot.
That's fascinating. The enduring power of the city as a place to bring people together, the face-to-face activity, the face-to-place activity. So what are your new initiatives then, Geerte? When you think about Amsterdam, you've already said it's a very attractive city, it's a very successful city, it's very fast growing. Other things being equal, lots of people want to live in Amsterdam, visit Amsterdam, study in Amsterdam, work in Amsterdam. What are your new initiatives to shape and to promote Amsterdam as a world city?
Well, what we're looking at right now is that we have to rethink how we co-create a city, because we do co-create. You know, it's not only the government, it's not only the company, it's not only cultural institutions or knowledge institutions or residents. You know, we make the future together. How we do that, I think we have to make a change worldwide, but especially also in Amsterdam. It's much more common nowadays to say to each other, we have to respect our planet because we have it on loan and we have to make it healthy and keep it healthy for next generations. I think we have to do the same for cities. There are a lot of companies, but also visitors that are in a city, profiting from a city, but not always taking the responsibility for the city that they benefit from. So it can be huge corporates that are in Amsterdam located, and for them it's easier to attract talent because it's such a high quality of life. But then you should take a responsibility as well. It's the same for visitors across the world. You're a guest somewhere. Behave as a guest and make sure as a guest that you leave the city behind a little more pretty than you found it for the next generation, so that your kids and other kids can visit the city as well when they're grown-ups. And it's the same for the residents. So I think we have to shift a bit from everybody for itself and the bigger the better, and bigger is better anyway. Shift from this only quantity to much more the combination of quantity and quality. Because of course, as a city, you always have to change and you have to keep growing, but growing in itself is not a goal anymore. Adding value is the power of the future. And value is much broader than only money.
Geerte, it sounds like you're describing something very fundamental, which is in a sense a new social contract around the city. The idea of co-responsibility. There's no more freeloaders or free riders in your city. Everything is co-created. Everybody must add value. If you're not adding value, you don't belong in the city. Is that right?
Well, we're not living in a fairy tale city. So, you know, we also have people that are just focusing on short-term money and profit. But as a city in itself, you see a shift happening again, because we do love our city, or we as residents, but also visitors and companies, etc. But we also see that unorganized, fast growing is really unhealthy, and you will all have the negative effect in the long run. So we have to look at each other. And of course, we play different roles. If it comes to spatial planning or redesigning public space, that is really part of our government. Reorganizing our old city center. You know, we planned our city on bikes and cars. Nowadays, cities, especially city centers, should be designed for bikes and pedestrians. So there are rules and tasks that are more on topic, of course, of the government. But again, I think we should also have a little bit more responsibility from big corporates, from visitors. Again, everybody is welcome when they add value to our city, our metropolitan area, and our country.
Well, I'm looking forward to visiting you again in Amsterdam to see this co-creation of the city, because I really understand what you're saying. I hope it sounds very compelling. So let's think about the texture of the city here. To how will our cities look, feel, smell, taste different in the future? What's going to be different in terms of the physical fabric and the aroma of the city?
Well, this is what I hope it is. It will be challenging to realize it because we know there are a lot of, challenging times ahead of us if it comes to the investments you should or want to make as a city. But I hope within 10, 15 years that cities are, like I said, still a meeting place. So you have to organize it in a way that you keep meeting each other and also meet the unknown people. I hope that it's much more sustainable. So we are much faster or better in sustainable energy, sustainable construct, waste management, less traffic, etc. Because I think the need for fast-growing cities that we keep these cities healthy as well. And that needs a different approach maybe than before, that it was the more the better, and spatial planning was maybe on the backward. We have to turn that around. I also hope that we still face the creativity and innovation, because I still think that where people meet and where you have diversity, that creation starts, and we need creation and innovations to find solutions for the future. So I hope cities will still have this fabric and make it happen there. But again, it's a challenge for all these cities because it's not easy solutions. It's long-term solution. You should have a vision. And I also hope, and I'm not sure if that's Dutch or politics more in general, that we get more in a way that we have a new idea on what we would love to be and build on that part, because that creates energy, instead of focusing daily on everything that goes wrong, because a lot is wrong. And we have to talk about it and we have to fix it. But talking about the negative creates a different energy in your forward energy. So besides talking on what is wrong and what you have to fix, you need to have a vision on this is the city we would love to be in 10 years. Not sure if you make it, not sure if it's possible from planning or budget or whatever, but create the story, because we as human beings, we love to believe in stories, and that gives the energy forward to make the difference.
Hita, it sounds like, again, that you're saying a positive mindset is very important, remembering that cities are places of surprise and spontaneity. And funnily enough, that doesn't happen by accident. You actually have to help the city to do that. But then you've also said circular, sustainable, healthy. The city is going to be reinvented and reformed in such a way that it's better for people and planet, whilst retaining what you called innovation and creativity, the kind of the ingenious part of a city. Are you optimistic that Amsterdam will get there?
As I said, I believe that you need to solve issue, but also have positive dreams. I just want to add one extra, and that is, I think, as cities, we have to be very keen on how we can build cities that are affordable for everybody. Because what I said from diversity perspective is also a diversity of sort of human beings with different background, but also with different wallets, etc. And I think, especially in fast-growing cities nowadays, we have the rising prices of the housing market, company market, etc. And if you not take care now, then within 15 years, you get a monoculture. And that would be not very healthy for a city. As I said, like the nature diversity shows the power of it. I think you really have to take care together, government and real estate investment alike. How can we build cities, of course, that are profitable, but also prosperous and have place for everybody? Will we make it happen? I'm not sure. I think if you work with a lot of people, I learned from the sports industry, actually, you have to set goals, then you make a program, and you have to celebrate every step in the program. You shouldn't start thinking with the third step in the program, am I getting my result? No, you know that you build a place and the result will be the result. So as long as we stay in contact, discuss the things that are wrong and have a vision on where we want to go, and we move forward, of course, we will do 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That is always in development. It's never going in one way. But I think we can manage if we also keep sharing knowledge like we're doing now.
Hitta, thank you so much. I love everything you've just said, but particularly this point that cities are ecosystems that flourish through diversity, and you must take care of your diversity if you therefore want your city to flourish. It's a very profound point to end on. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you for inviting me, and I wish you a great conference.